Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Another day, another show by BW Hotelier. Welcome. Welcome to the 7th show of the newest BWH series, the GM show. And this time in an Indian context from the land of the rising sun, Kolkata, right? The city of joy. A lot of beautiful stories, a lot of very amazing anecdotes, a lot of history. But this time the torchlight is on Kolkata and what the industry is all about over there. This is the first show. This is our first show of the East. And in the new year, after a 2-week break, we will be hosting another show and the first one again for the central region. Before we move back to the second phase of this series, we'll come back to the north and then move on to the west, south, east before we go to the northeast. You will notice in this series, we have focused on those regions which haven't had their share of focus as yet, be it the east, central, or this time the northeast. While we will be heading to the metros to bring in as much visibility as we can, but this time we will be walking to the other parts. The topic of the show today is East. When is it going to claim its fair share of the national tourism pie? If tourism flourishes, hospitality flourishes. This show is held every Thursday at 5 p.m. Block your time. We have in all about 20 to 22 episodes coming, right? If for any queries or clarifications that you may have of us, reach out to us, mail us at bwhotelier@businessworld.in. Let me repeat, bwhotelier@businessworld.in. Without much ado, let me move on and introduce the speakers first before I get on to our host moderator for the evening. First on, Mr. Sumeet Suri. He's the general manager of the JW Marriott Kolkata. Welcome, Sumeet. We have Mr. Sandeep Johri, who's the general manager of the Novotel Kolkata Hotel and Residences. Hi, Sandeep. We have Dilip Mishra, who's the general manager of the iconic Lalit Great Eastern Kolkata.
Hi, namaskar, good evening.
Hi. We have Bhavna Verma. Bhavna Tawar Verma, as I often call her. She's the general manager of the Holiday Inn in Kolkata at the airport. Hi, Bhavna.
Hi, sir.
We have Debarshi Sanyal, who's the general manager of Howard Johnson by Wyndham in Kolkata. We have Pramode, who's now almost a Kolkata boy. He's been there longest. He's the area general manager of the iconic The Park Kolkata.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Pramode.
Hi.
This gives me an opportunity to now bring focus on to our moderator, Gaurav Singh, who's been long years at Marriott now, but a man who's held the helm in the East. Gaurav's career spans over 2 decades in various cities across India. Over the last 9 years with Marriott International, he has led hotels in Ahmedabad, Bengaluru, East India, Bangladesh, and most recently based out of JW Marriott Kolkata. Known for his strategic acumen, ability to adapt and manage in tough environments, Gaurav's hotels have had phenomenal results under his leadership and guidance, winning multiple Marriott International awards, including the 2 most coveted ones, Hotel of the Year and General Manager of the Year, both in Asia Pacific and globally. Welcome, Gaurav. And Gaurav is today, he's just landed in Jaipur to be with his parents this Christmas. Welcome, Gaurav.
Thank you, Bhuvanesh.
I shall now hand over the baton to Gaurav. This is your show. Over to you, Gaurav.
Thank you so much, Bhuvanesh. This is it's an honor to have so many of my friends and colleagues on this show, and for me to be able to have a conversation with them over the next few minutes. I just want to dial back a little and before we go into the serious matter of discussing how to reclaim the East in the tourism world of India, as was said in the beginning. I just want to give an insight. I am actually born in Calcutta. I did my last stint in Calcutta. My dad was a tea planter who lived his 35 years of working life in Dwas and in Assam. I have traveled to probably the smallest of districts in the East, which most people may not be able to pronounce today, and lived there my entire childhood. So to me, the East is extremely close. And I don't feel, and I want to put that out right in the beginning, I don't feel from a hospitality perspective that we are not doing well in that space at all. We are actually flourishing. If we look over the years, if we look at Marriott, we look at other brands which are represented today on the call, almost everyone over the last 5 years has grown their portfolio in the East by many folds. Well, is it in comparison to other parts of India? That is something that we still have work to do on. And I guess we'll discuss that. What we'll also discuss today is to look at hospitality as one lens, but also look at tourism on the whole. So try and see what are the opportunities in tourism across the East, whether it be the tea estates, the Himalayas, the rivers of Brahmaputra and the Ganges, the Sundarbans, and the wildlife that comes from Kaziranga to the Doas region to Darjeeling, and some of the ancient history, culture, heritage that is so evident in this part of the world. So some interesting topics to cover. I think I'm quite looking forward to hearing the views of many panelists on today. At the same time, before we go into that, I just want to take a moment, and I think Bhuvanesh did an excellent job of bringing everyone in and introducing them. So I wouldn't want to go back and reintroduce each one, but I do want to share that on this panel today, because my last assignment was in Kolkata. Pramode and Sandeep and I worked together in the city, so it's nice to see old friends, and have a conversation with them. Sumit and I go back right to the start of our career. We started together in ITC. So in that sense, it's lovely to have him on the call and hear his views as well. And Bhavna, in fact, worked with Marriott for a period of time, and I was closely, mentoring as well as working together with her in her assignments that she did with us. So it's good to see some of the old faces back, and welcome to this session.
So there goes the intro, and let's begin the show. That's the fastest start that we've ever had in this series as yet. So all right. So let me begin this show with Gaurav. All right, Gaurav, why don't we shoot the first one at you? 5 very important states that form the east of India: West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, and Sikkim. They have a large historic part in an Indian context and a larger importance, both current and future, as a growth driver for India with a large tourism potential. What approach do we take to promote the East as a singular regional unit, or do we go state by state and do our own thing? Remember the adage, united we stand, divided we fall. What's your take?
That's an adage which sort of rhymes to everyone, right? It's not something that you can just put for the East. It's for anything that you do in the world today. We are going through tough times with COVID, and I think the only way to come out of it is also united we stand, divided we fall, right? We have to follow the protocols that there are. We must ensure that safety comes first. But coming to your point, I think I don't think for the East, whether it's the 5 states, whether it's the way you look at it in different cities, I don't think one size is going to fit all. In simple words, while you can have individual state strategies, you can have individual city strategies. There's just so much that happens in the East, and which is true for any part of the world. But it's got its own ecosystem, so to speak. It's got the coastline, it's got the rivers, it's got the forests, it's got the mountains. So from a geography point of view, it's very diverse. while you spoke 5 states, these 5 states are 5 different languages. They have 5 different cultures, different cuisines. There are different things that each state is known for, whether it's silk, whether it's tea, whether it's jute. It's so diverse that it's extremely difficult to make everything fit in one. And then when you look at tourism on the whole, the idea would be to look at it as a gambit of all of it. Look at it from saying, how is air connectivity, what is accommodation, what is travel possibilities, where can you stay, what can you explore, what can you dine at, and what new experiences can you take home. And those things today are so diverse that I don't think one size will fit it all. That's the first thing. The second point to me, and which is quite unusual, before I get into the hospitality part of it, because there is a large part of the audience who's from the hospitality sector. So we'll keep that for the end. But I personally feel that when you look at airline connectivity, airports, or so on, the East is superbly connected. It's quite strange that you can actually fly to more than 12 or 15 airports, which I don't think is there in many parts of many other states. So you've got places that you can fly to, like Jorhat, like Dibrugarh, like Tezpur, Bagdogra, Imphal, Itanagar, Durgapur now. It's extremely well connected by air. So to get there is not an issue. I guess what has been the past is something that lingers in the mind, that it's not been an explored destination. It's not been a very safe and sound destination in the past, but I don't think that's any longer the case today. And while it's not explored, that's the beauty today, because it's unexplored. And I guess that's what I would really look at for tourism on the whole, to latch upon and say, listen, this is where you can make memories and experiences which you can't get in other parts of the world. And frankly, that needs a little bit of infrastructure. Airports are there. Hotels provide a major part of that infrastructure. And if we look at our industry, the hospitality industry, and coming to it, any brand, whether it's Accor or Marriott or Taj or any brand that you pick on, all of these guys probably came into, including Marriott, came into this part of the world, say 5 years back or so. Some of the older players have been there. Oberoi and Taj have been there for many years. ITC came in only 20 years back with their first hotel in Calcutta. So it's not that it's been there for years and years. Even the Indian companies ventured in pretty late into that part of the world, and ITC is headquartered out of Calcutta. Given all of that, over the last 5 years, see how it's grown. That's the point that you need to note, not just in Bengal, but in all of the 5 states. Taj now has representation across those different states in multiple locations. We've ventured outside of Calcutta. We've already opened our hotel in Siliguri, in close to the Bagdogra airport, about 35 minutes from the Bagdogra airport, a Courtyard by Marriott there. I know Accor has representation in Guwahati, and Park has representation in the East as it is, and I'm sure there are others who possibly also have it, which I may not be fully familiar with in my lens, but I can tell you that over the last 5 years, it's really grown. So my take is that the potential of exploring the unexplored is extremely high. At the same time, I feel from a hospitality lens, the potential to develop in that part of the world is extremely high because resources are available, trained talent is available. It's one of those places where, in fact, is today fueling talent to across multiple metro cities. So it's quite amazing that there are so many positives, and we have. I think we need to change over the years, and I don't think it'll happen overnight. But I am sure that as we go into the next 5 to 10 years, I do believe that we will see that change come through.
Awesome. Awesome. So Gaurav, this is your show from here on. Now you start asking.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bhuvanesh.
Yeah.
So let me let me go straight into possibly my friend in Kolkata, right, Sandeep. We guys, in fact, it's interesting. When I left the city, Sandeep did a grand farewell,
Oh, really?
as if he was celebrating my departure from there. But in the same sense, thank you for that, Sandeep. But let me get into asking you a few things about the tourism industry in the East. So, you're in Bengal. You've been there for a few years, and West Bengal, not just within the East, but for the entire country, is a huge state, a frontline state which shares boundaries with 3 countries. We know that: Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal. It's had its share under the sun. After all, it started as the capital of India. From 1773 to 1911, I'm told. The East India Company were based there. The best and biggest of corporates and industries started out of Calcutta in so many ways. And of course, the state is where the Brahmaputra and the Ganges land. It is a huge opportunity with Sundarbans, with wildlife sanctuaries across the state, with destinations like Shantiniketan, which has been the seat of spiritual learning, so to speak, for India. So, given so much that Bengal and Calcutta has, how can we expect West Bengal to carve a niche for itself from a hospitality, travel, tourism, F&B space, given that so much is there, including cuisine?
Hi, Gaurav. It's so wonderful to see you, and not very happy to know that you visited Kolkata, didn't drop in to the hotel on the way, but keep that in mind. Good evening, everybody, and very happy to be a part of this show. Gaurav, your question is extremely loaded, and you can do an entire evening session only on this question. But just to sum it up, you already have said quite a bit of it. You touched upon cuisine at the end, and let me start with something which is very close to Bengalis, which is the cuisine. The tagline, the advertisement of the West Bengal tourism is "Experience Bengal," which is the sweetest part of India. So when you have sweet as a part of a tourism tagline, you know what we're getting into. And Bhuvanesh, you have kept this at the end of the year. This is the last show of the year, and I don't think you planned it, but how luck would have it, this is the dessert of your show, the last show of the year, and you're finishing it with talking about a state which talks about sweet. I mean, and when I was thinking about this session, I realized that actually Bengal is the only state which has sweet connected to it. You go to a sweet shop and you say Bengali sweets. You don't talk about any other sweets in any other states, of the country, but Bengal has sweets dedicated to itself. So that's how we love our cuisine. Gaurav, I agree with you when you say that why is this question always asked that East is still to arrive. I mean, East is there. I think the only lacuna or only drawback that we have is and that I think we'll cover is marketing. Very, very strongly that is missing. I mean, which is the other state, you tell me, in this country which has got snow-capped mountains at the top? We have Darjeeling, Kalimpong and stuff, and bordering Sikkim. And then you have a coastline which is 200 odd kilometers, which Digha, Mandarmani. You have Ganges flowing through it, converting into Hooghly. One of its kind delta of Sundarban, the mangroves. I mean, which other state can actually boast of this? I mean, this state has given the Royal Bengal tiger, that all of us very proudly own. So I mean, it's a very, very beautiful, and it's really sad when somebody said we've still not arrived. And while we were discussing this, it's actually the infrastructure and the investment which has delayed it. I mean, hoteliers are ready, and all of us are ready to expand. I mean, we Bengalis are so proud of our culture and heritage. I mean, we talk, Bengalis are the number one there. I mean, East Indian, as you said, East Indian Company started from here. You come to Calcutta, you see the Victoria Memorial, you see the old colonial setup. It it is amazing. I mean, which other, I mean, you very, very recently, and it is so aptly timed that UNESCO honored Durga Puja on a representative list of intangible culture heritage of humanity. No other Asian festival, no other in the entire Asia, nobody has been bestowed with this. But again, as I said, this is something that the country should have latched onto, and would have really taken pride of the Durga Puja festival, and such a huge opportunity that the country has. Why look at Bengal as a whole? I mean, the spirituality of this state is amazing. I mean, the Rabindranath Tagore, Shantiniketan, we are home to that. I mean, Aurobindo started from here and then he went to Pondicherry. So, I mean, ISKCON temples, the ISKCON culture. So there's so much in West Bengal. And I think we are there. We are already there. It's only a little bit of a marketing that needs to be pushed, and nothing else needs to be done. I mean, hospitality takes care of itself. It's just the location that needs to be marketed. So yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, Bhuvanesh, the best you have kept for the last, and that's what I would sum up my answer with. That the sweetest part of India is Bengal.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, Sandeep, that's so aptly put. You're so bang on. There is I can tell you, in the time that I spent there, just as an example, I'd been there as a child, and memories as a child is different, right? When you work there in the recent past, and you get to experience the festival of Durga Puja, which you just spoke of, it is one of a kind. It cannot be matched. It cannot be spoken of. You need to be there to visit it and actually experience it. When you do, you realize what it means, and that's something that we don't. You're right that we don't market it enough. I think it is an experience for the rest of India to come and see, and that would really help the cause of tourism on the whole for Bengal. All right, let me go to Bhavna, and Bhavna, let's change to a different part of our industry and talk about regional air connectivity coupled with better rail connectivity, maybe growing infrastructure and roads. How is this driving tourism to Bengal and the rest of the states in the east?
Gaurav, you very passionately at the beginning explained how many airports we have and how blessed we are in eastern part of India to have so much of connectivity. And I would say for the past 2 years, hospitality and our industry has survived only because of the connectivity within India by air, by road, and by rail. And my hotel, Holiday Inn Kolkata Airport, being an airport hotel, I can truly say that the moment all the flights started to operate from Kolkata, we have been seeing a consistent and a steady increase in business and ADRs too. So that definitely helps. In terms of road, as I said, we have been living under pandemic for the past 2 years. A lot of families like to travel by road. They feel safe in their own vehicle. They like to go to destinations which are within drivable distance. And that has also kind of supported tourism. I'm relatively new to the eastern part of India. However, I spoke to a lot of friends and colleagues and realized that they like to go by their own vehicle when they're going to their hometowns in Ranchi or in Patna. So the connectivity is really, really good here. Can it be better? Yes, definitely. Is the government working towards it? Yes, they are. Had the pandemic not been there, I can see a lot of construction and metro work happening to kind of increase connectivity further towards the airport, towards the main city within Kolkata itself. I'm sure it would have been completed by now had pandemic not been there. So the government is still actively working over it, and the connectivity has definitely helped tourism and hotel industry particularly.
Oh, that's so aptly put, Bhavna. I think the pandemic has sort of changed behaviors, and people are today preferring to go to drive-through destinations or close-by destinations, and yes, the opportunity to be able to do the cities that you spoke of in a drivable distance from Kolkata makes a huge impact, and the connectivity is only improving, not just in air, railways, but also on the road. So let me move to maybe Pramode and see if we can change to what's not covered, which is, let's say, river tourism. Yeah. And how does, we've got the Ganges in the east, cruise tourism is an emerging opportunity originating right from the Himalayas. The Gangotri Glacier in Uttarakhand, the Ganges travels all the way via UP, Bihar, as we know it, into Bengal, into the Bay of Bengal. And not just sacred, the Ganges, but it's very pristine, right? This river is quite unique. So is it still too early, or is it time to start promoting and draw maximum out of this? And also, how do you make, or how do we make, for not just the Ganges tourism, but also for inline river supply chain, logistics, bigger opportunities that may come as a result of this? How do you see this take shape, Pramode?
Say hi, Gaurav. Nice to see you again. Welcome back to the City of Joy.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it's not that it's time. I think it's well past time that river tourism took some real good shape in Bengal, especially because the greater part of the Ganges, really, where there is in the east, if you were to say, is primarily in Bengal, right? So today, of course, as Sandeep mentioned about Sundarbans, I mean, it is the UNESCO heritage site. So it has its own stature. People come from all over the world to go to Sundarbans. And there are operations happening. There are private operators as well as government vessels taking care of people to Sundarbans. And of course, there is these luxury cruise, which is a really many days one, from starting from Calcutta, going right up to Banaras. Those are there, but they're far few, because I think there's an opportunity to make it bigger. But one thing is very interesting, I must tell, is that in and around Calcutta, just few hours upstream, downstream, there's so much of history in this part of the world that it is still untapped, undiscovered. Just to give you an example, a quick one, if you go upstream from, let's say, Millennium Jetty, where you normally dock onto a boat, if you go about 2.5, 3 hours, you go to a place called Bandel, okay, on the riverfront. Now, Bandel is where maybe 14th, 15th century, the Portuguese came and settled down, and today we have the Bandel cheese, which is so popular in this part of this country, right? Then you come downstream, you come to Chandan Nagar. Chandan Nagar is where the French came and stayed, established themselves. You come down further, you come to a place called Srirampur. Srirampur is where the Dutch came and stayed. And in fact, in Srirampur, there is about 270-year-old, maybe the oldest hotel in the country. It's a heritage boutique hotel. We at the park manage that for the government. It's right on the riverfront. And guess what? Right across is Barrackpur. Mangal Pandey mutiny started there. So can you imagine the kind of rich history that little stretch, few kilometers itself has in and around Calcutta? And these places have so much of beautiful temples, churches, and architecture of that era. Some of the buildings have been totally destroyed, but you can still see the reminiscence of the architecture, So I think it is so much of opportunity. It's just that, yes, there is certain amount of infrastructure development definitely required. The jetties where the boats are going to dock need to be upgraded. The pathways into the townships have to be made better. And as you talked about logistics, you see, these places, if you're developed as a destination, the supply chain from on the road front and the last kilometer, into these townships has to be upgraded. There has to be better accessibility from the road also. Otherwise, how do you get your people, your raw materials, and etc. to these townships which has so much of history? That aspect definitely needs to be looked into also by the authorities. And to sum it up, I think Calcutta, because of so much of history and culture it has an opportunity to make a wonderful world-class terminus on the Hooghly, maybe sidelined with a marina, with F&B outlets, with eateries and bars. I think it's going to transform and give another an exciting reason to come to the City of Joy. This is what I would say about river tourism. It's a great opportunity ahead.
Thank you, Pramode. I wish your dreams come true. I wish someone hears you up there, because I do believe that what you just spoke about, not just from a cultural and heritage and history point of view, but just the pristine beauty, the whole atmosphere that the City of Joy has, as well as this whole, the belt of the river, as up and downstream both ways, has so much.
I just to add that to you, Gaurav. I have been on that river many times, right? So when you pass under the Hooghly Bridge, that 100-plus-year-old bridge, it is such a majestic feeling. Trust me. I mean, if you got to do that once, it's simply going under that bridge on the river. It's just truly an amazing experience.
And how many movies have been shot there?
Yeah, sure.
So true. Okay, let me get Dilip into this discussion as well, and see if we can continue on this journey, but take it towards a little more spirituality and talk about spiritual tourism. So if you're in India and you can barely separate tourism from spirituality, right? And it's an opportunity not just big in Bengal but across the East. So how can the hospitality industry leverage from this spiritual, religious tourism opportunities in the region? What do you feel, Dilip?
Thanks, Gaurav. As you know, the east part of India, these 4-5 states, are the birthplace of great saints. These are the place where new religions have started. So if you talk about West Bengal, the place of Rabindranath Tagore, Ramakrishna Paramhans, Vivekanand, Mother Teresa. You go to Bihar, you have Lord Buddha having enlightenment. Lord Mahavira actually was the place where he left all the worldly ties in Bihar. And the 10th Tirthankara of Jain was also born there. Then yesterday, 22nd of December, was actually a birthday of 10th Sikh Guru Gobind Singh. So there is a Gurudwara dedicated in Patna, the Patna Sahib.
He was born there.
He was born there, yes. And similarly, if you go to Orissa, Kalinga War, Ashoka had a full paradigm shift. Lord Jagannath is definitely there. So there's a huge work which has already been done. And you and Bhawna has made my work a little easier. When you said there's a lot of connectivity of air, and there's a huge work which has gone already in terms of road connectivity, and people do prefer traveling on roads. But when we come to statistics of hotels, if you remove West Bengal, which has a fair share of, I will not say fair share, but a good number of star hotels, and I've taken just 3-4 star above as I was going through that, what is the opportunity in Eastern India. There are 63 hotels which are registered in West Bengal as of now. But in Orissa and Sikkim, there are 17. The moment you go to Bihar and Jharkhand, they are just 5 and 6. There's a huge opportunity of budget as well as luxury section. People are waiting for better brands to come in, and they would like, and not only the people of the state, but people from outside who are traveling or who have planned and can't travel because of the basic needs not taken care. There's a huge opportunity. The second is, if the roads infrastructure are happening, there's a huge work to be done on the break place. Like while you're traveling on roads, you need to have a better place. In North, we are lucky to have a good dhabas, but when you come to East, that becomes a challenge. That's another area which we have to work a lot on that. So I feel apart from these two, the F&B will definitely come in, because slowly the cuisine of other parts of Eastern states are dying. So once we have these places, this infrastructure, hotels, these breaks in place, the Eastern culture, the dying culture will be revived. So I'm sure these areas which are lying for ages will get the due respect and the due movement which we all are looking for. Me and my wife, we have done 160 kilometers by foot to Devghar in 5 days. And believe me, if as a hotelier you go, you will see opportunities everywhere. We had to, wait for kilometers to go and have a rest or a sanitized place to just relax. And that is Shravani Mela, one of the most famous melas of the eastern part of India. There are plenty of such. So I'm sure people who are listening who want to explore this, there's a huge opportunity in all these states.
Very interesting perspective, Dilip. I quite appreciate what you're saying. what comes to mind to me as well. I spoke in the early part of my early days in the East, and Assam has the Kamakhya temple, right? And that spiritually, that's one of the places that is extremely moving if you spend some time there. And I just feel that, so much is unexplored, but a lovely perspective to get from you, Dilip. Let me move forward to Sumeet and bring Sumeet in. Sumeet, you're a guy from the food and beverage industry, so to speak. Now, leading one of the best hotels in the East, and East is also known to be the rice bowl of India, right? It is also where the tea gardens essentially are well known today, though you have tea in the South as well. But East is what has made tea popular around the world, whether it's Darjeeling, Assam, or even the Dohas tea. And all of this provides an opportunity for tourism. Looking at tea gardens, fresh tea, lush green leaves that you see around, so much greenery, in itself, that's an opportunity. But what do you see will bring this to seekers to come and see tea tourism, come and see traders in the rice bowl, so to speak, towards the East?
I remember, Gaurav, firstly, thanks, Bhuvanesh, for getting me in and being a part of this panel. I think I came in almost about 10 months back to Calcutta, and I remember our first trip together was to tea gardens for me and Gaurav. And in fact, being in India for so long, while I visited a few of the tea gardens down south, this was truly a memorable experience because we were really, a part of those tea experiences. And of course, we were in Siliguri at that point of time, and what I've seen over the past few months and years, that you have destinations which are now coming up within the tea gardens. Back old days during the Britishers' time when they had the bungalows, during the past years, these bungalows were part of the tea gardens. They of course had the teas, they had a beautiful views, and these bungalows, which are now sprawling across the East, are slowly and steadily getting converted into hotels. While I see entrepreneurs coming in with small numbers, it could be a 5-room, it could be a 10-room, but these are ultra luxury experiences. And what I understood is when I visited some of the places is they've created this whole thing within the tea garden. So it's not that they have made any huge infrastructural changes. In fact, the bungalows and the travel and the tourism and the hotels as part of the tea garden. You actually get to taste the tea from that garden, the fresh tea. It's not the regular teas we would have in hotels. So the experience of, and even the experience of going and probably going to be a part of the tea factory, or go to a tea garden, or even go to the extent of seeing how the tea is made. We, as part of the country, our tea drinking nation, how many of us actually get the opportunity to go and see and experience this real time, how the tea is made? And that's what you have in East for sure, and I did see some of these experiences. Countries like Sri Lanka, which have some of these famous teas like the Dilma teas, which are known around the world. And I was reading about this gentleman called Mr. Fernando from the Dilma. They've created something called Ceylon Tea Trails. Actually, is nothing but an experience of different bungalows, which they have created across the country, where you actually go and stay. It could be a 5 or 7 room bungalows or hotels, and you actually get to experience tea gardens right there where you are. You have a local packages. You listen. Your hotel, your bungalow becomes the destination. So it's not that you're going to a place to go sightseeing. That place is the destination. You spend your entire day at that place. You have your teas. You have to listen to music. You have your evening spirits and wines, and you spend your entire weekend out there. Even in China, I was reading about some of these small towns. What the government has done, actually, they've got these local people to come and work along to bring in these tea aspects of tea gardens together. So the business and your local livelihood has come in together to make it as a business perspective, because most of the people who are actually there, they have this infrastructure, they have the tea garden, they have the place, but they don't have a business idea. And the moment the government supports these things, it becomes a business, and it becomes a great tourism inlet for a whole lot of us. Because when I have to go and see that how many which are the tea gardens or which are the places I can go in East right now, the numbers are far and few, right? Probably Gaurav may have more numbers because he's lived in the East, or someone who spent more time in the East. But as an outsider who's just come in, I'll have to depend on very few people, and of course, go to the right places. So I think considering what the other countries are doing, considering how what the potential is there, I think there is enough and more potential to develop tea tourism, do these tea streets, tea festivals, bring in the local livelihood and the existing structure in place. And we've also seen in some of the hotels which have already got created in and around Siliguri, which I witnessed, they have become destinations today, you know. And because of the connectivity, you have people coming in from Mumbai, Delhi, coming to that place. And they're not only experiencing the hotels, they're also experiencing simultaneously the natural area of the tea gardens and what it can offer.
And also, I guess that's why the Britishers called them tea gardens. They didn't call them tea farms.
So true. Now, Sumeet, so aptly put. I look at some of those things that you said, and to me, what stands out is, when you today, if you go into, say, Siliguri, and you were speaking of it, and you fly into Bagdogra. Bagdogra is one of the busiest airports in the country. I don't know how many of you have ever taken flights in and out of there, but it's possibly where I have waited the maximum to board a plane or gone in well before time, because I know I'll miss my flight if I don't. And that's just how busy that airport is for a small little airport. But Sumeet, to your point, and I fondly remember, having that fresh tea just outside an estate, single estate tea, and we were fortunate enough as part of you moving to the east to stand on the roadside across the Tista and have a bhutta together, right? If I remember that right, we did that on the roadside. It was quite a memory that I carry back. So thank you for reliving that. Okay, let's get Debarshi onto us as well. He's been the last one standing, so to speak, of the panel. We haven't come to him yet. So Debarshi, we're going to take you up the hills into the mountains and really talk about. Tell us, what do you feel? What's happening in Bengal in terms of the opportunities that exist for adventure tourism, given the fact that we've got this whole opportunity of mountaineering tourism. We've got the Kanchenjunga, in fact, in the east itself, between the Himalayas, Sikkim, northeastern states, and just close to Nepal. There is Darjeeling as a hill station, which is extremely popular. There are other hill stations like Gangtok and Shillong in the east, which are extremely popular. Is there an opportunity for hoteliers, or from a hotelier's point of view, for hospitality as a niche segment to look at adventure tourism or mountaineering?
Gaurav, first to tell you that I am from Siliguri. Siliguri is my hometown. So anything in and around, I did my studies at Darjeeling, and I did my hotel management from Gangtok. So I am well aware of all these places pretty well. As far as the adventure tourism is concerned, let me remind you that the first Mountaineering Institute of India was built in Darjeeling, which is Himalayan Mountaineering Institute. That's built way back in 1954, if I'm not mistaken. And since then, even if the areas of Darjeeling, if you talk about Sikkim, you have plenty of options for trekking. You have plenty of options for trekking. You have options for mountain cycling. You have whitewater rafting at Ronko. Then you have options for paragliding in Darjeeling, Yumtang, and this place, Karimpong. If we come down to other states and not only being limited to these places, also you have options for rock climbing. If you come to other states like Bihar or Orissa, I was reading somewhere in Orissa, there's a Indian surf festival that happens. If I'm not mistaken, it's at Ramchandi Beach, where a surf festival happens in the month of November. And apart from that, there are paramotoring available in Bihar, and if I'm not mistaken, in Patna, and there's an option for kayaking also. So there are plenty of options for as far as the adventure tourism is concerned. Be it our something which is close to Kolkata, why we are going so far. I mean, if you want to go for a trek, you can go to Ayodhya and Jayanti Hills. They are not very far from Kolkata as well. So this the entire region is having plenty of option as far as the adventure tourism is concerned.
Thanks, Debarshi. In fact, I'll add to your list, and I feel, in the adventures has so much to do, right? There's so many gamuts of it, and one of them is to be able to ride the rapids if you're keen on them. The Teesta apparently is known to be the fiercest of rivers in the East, very close to your hometown. That could be quite a rapid ride if you wish to do that.
We're almost halfway stage. We'll just take a short 5 to 7 second break. So this is our latest issue. This is a special. It's called Scope and Hope. It's about development, projects, and renovation. It's the investment special. So grab your copies if you haven't yet. And why are we not talking about the next show? Well, the next show is going to be 2 weeks later. So we shall bring that in sooner than the date. All right. So this gives me an opportunity to bring in my second question to Gaurav. Gaurav, with your permission, I'll barge in.
Sure.
Right? So, I mean, you had the East, you had the South, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Permit me to take this opportunity to ask you some bit of searching questions with numbers and data that will throw more light on how the East has moved, and let's have your overall feel of the region. How has the East progressed over the past few years? You did give a hint of it when you started, that how has the East covered the paces in the last 5 years? But tell us, on a 3 to 5 year horizon, what is your feel about the development and projects with a focus on hospitality, number of hotels, locations, and if you may, rooms?
Bhuvanesh, for us, it's an area where we are very focused upon as a company. From if I represent my company, Marriott International, on this for numbers, particularly, I wouldn't want to speak of other hotel chains because they may have their own numbers to put out there. For us, we began our journey here just 5-6 years back. We bought in the Westin and the JW Marriott, which is a 5-year-old hotel, into the city of joy. It was our first managed hotels that we bought in there. We opened the Fairfield after. We opened the Courtyard in Siliguri after. And within the 5-year span, now we cover 2 destinations in Bengal alone, Calcutta and Siliguri. We've got 4 hotels operating at this point of time in the managed portfolio. We also have what is called the franchise portfolio, and most of you may know that we work very closely with the ITC, which is part of our partnership as well. So we have got 2 hotels there already in the East as well. We've been exploring other destinations. We have active and live constructions at the moment in Shillong, at the moment in Guwahati. So these are, in fact, we had 2 opportunities in Guwahati and 1 in Shillong. We're exploring in Gangtok and Sikkim in particular. What's happened with the pandemic has made us explore a lot into resort destinations recently. And therefore, that's a huge opportunity in unexplored lands such as the East. So therefore, we do see a great potential from a perspective of having 0 rooms, say 5 years back, within our portfolio. Today, we have 900 rooms in our managed portfolio alone. And if you look at the franchise portfolio, we are probably the first and second largest operators in that part of the world already. So it's still small in scale because it's just 900 rooms. We feel that the potential is to multiply that 10x, if not more. It's frankly that. We're seeing some of that in some different parts of the East, and because I have a lens on Bangladesh, and I'm just going to take an opportunity to bring that in. It's not right east of India, but it just gives you a perspective. It is in the East, and we are by far the largest operator in Bangladesh, in Dhaka. We sort of have 4 operating hotels at this point of time, all of which take in branded hotel operations. That's about 65% of the city's inventory is literally with the Marriott portfolio there. We are growing into destinations well beyond and outside, whether it be, outside of the city limits of Dhaka in places like Baluka, or up north into Chittagong, or into the east into Cox's Bazar and the forests on that side of the country. We've actually got more than 10 projects that we are currently in conversation with. So we're just seeing opportunities crop up in all parts of the East, so to speak. And if Bangladesh on the whole can have that many, there is no reason for us not to have that in all the 5 sister states that there is. And that's the reference that I wanted to bring in to say that the opportunity is genuinely there. And I just feel that it's going to only multiply as the years go by. In the next 3 to 5 years, to your question, we're going to have a lot more.
So let me just draw your attention to Bihar and Jharkhand in particular, and in some manner to Odisha. Just throw some light on them. What's happening there?
It's an interesting space for international operators yet. I would say the domestic operators have started to go in to some extent. The international operators have been exploring there, but haven't yet found investors to be able to put money on the table to invest into an asset. It's got potential. There are unbranded, very good hotels there. There is a potential to convert some of them into branded hotels and elevate their levels of experiences. There is an opportunity to build new. The connectivity to these states, and as someone I can't remember who, but someone in the panel, I think it was Dilip, who very rightly put in that there were only a few hotels in some of these states, as low as single digits.
Yes.
And that is extremely sad in today's day and age, with these states having huge amount of population, good income sources, disposable income available largely in the bigger cities at least. There is no reason why mid to premium tier hotels can go into these cities to begin with. It may be early days for luxury to go in. It's still something to be seen. But there are destinations in these states which are totally unexplored. Someone, I think Debarshi spoke about, the coastal belt of Orissa and the surfing there and stuff like that, which is unique. And why can't we have resorts which cater to adventure tourists going into doing surfing on the coast? And that's really an opportunity which is unexplored. So to your point, I think those states may be a step or two behind, but you'll be surprised. I'll take an example of Chhattisgarh. They picked on a few things just a few years back, and to Pramode's point, marketed themselves beautifully well. And put attention into their marketing. They brought in hockey in a big way into their state. Just one sport which the country follows to a large extent. And today, the World Cup of hockey happens in that state, right? And we know that, right? And it's amazing how they built an infrastructure around it, built hotels around it. We have 2 hotels in there. Marriott has 2 hotels in there operating already. And we just feel that, because the state took, steps towards the infrastructure, took steps towards a particular interest in sport, they were able to move into a direction which allowed us to build more. Great. I think we've taken a little bit of time, so I'm going to, I do have a few questions for all our panelists. So I'm going to try and, speed this up a little, if I may. And Sandeep, let me go to you and ask about, what about mice in the East, in Bengal, in the East? What do you see mice as? I think it's a big thing, right, for us in the East.
I mean, actually, me in particular, till the time ITC came and 340 rooms, I was the largest hotel in East India, and I know how much I have relied and banked on mice to fill the hotel. And then when you guys came in, we all of us know how integral mice has been to Kolkata. To say, actually, Kolkata is a natural mice destination. Again, it's a matter of perception outside Bengal, outside Kolkata, how people view it. But this is the gateway to the East. There is no doubt to that. It is not only gateway to the East, to the Northeast. All the states surrounding Bengal and the Seven Sisters in the Northeast. It is the gateway. It is a zonal headquarters for so many companies. Domestically, you see mice movement happening on so many levels on corporates. We talk about pharma, FMCG, associations, you talk about banking, you talk about finance. So it is a zonal headquarters any which way. So it becomes very natural to have East Zone meetings and stuff in the city. We talk about all of us spoke about connectivity, but that's something that I will speak at the end, because connectivity is a good thing and not so good thing also when we talk about Kolkata in a view which is global. When somebody wants to do a convention, or you look at a moment of mice, what do we look at? We look at facilities. So convention facilities, if we talk about, and again I will go back to my point of marketing, how many people know of the Bishwangla Convention Center. It is such a newly built facility with 3,000 people seating capacity in the new town area, surrounded by hotels. But is it doing well? Can it do better? It's a question that I leave open to. Bengal will have a global business summit 2022 after a gap of 2 years, and it's happening in April this year, Gaurav, if you know. And it is happening in April because the Milan Mela will be opened with that, and Milan Mela ground with 18.5 acres of land is such a huge facility which is being made just behind your ITC and JW, such a close proximity to hotels and huge facility of that. The newer hotels which came up with Marriott, with ITC or the West End, huge banqueting facilities. You talk about Novotel here, and I have the largest number of breakaway rooms that can accommodate so much of MICE requirement. So, we have convention centers here. We have got hotels. We got 8,000 rooms from 3 to 4 star and 5 star category. What else would you want? People talk about destinations of MICE in the country. People talk about Hyderabad, Goa, and they talk about the cuisine there. In cuisine in Bengal, as I've already spoken, my love for the cuisine and the food of Bengal, it is there. And also with the MICE movement, when people travel, especially with farmers, people travel with families, and they also want to club in small getaways. We have seen so many people staying back and visiting Dakshineshwar, Kalighat. People have more time, they go to Darjeeling, Northeast. So there's so much happening there. But coming back to connectivity, of course, domestic connectivity is good, but Calcutta, we have to remember, is a metro city, and it has got far more potential which is untapped. We still have to reach where international conventions and conferences happen. We are able to market ourselves internationally. We have to look beyond the country. If we have to position ourselves as a MICE destination, we have everything available that anybody would want to see. It is about connectivity, because if you look at the airport infrastructure and the international flights which connect Kolkata, it is a little sad in numbers when you compare it with other metros. We have very little international connectivity apart from the west. We talk about the west, it is very little connectivity in Bengal. That needs to improve, and we really need to have very serious approach about marketing and sales. We have the product. Again, I'm getting a question which talks about the potential of the state, and I am one who says that it is full of potential. It is just that people need to know about it. We need to market, we need to sell, we need to grab international conferences at whatever cost it is. I mean, we hosted the FIFA World Cup a couple of years back, and such a good incentive was the GST was waived off, and something like that will have to be done to get activities and events in Calcutta. So a natural MICE destination, Kolkata, it just needs all the effort of the industry to push and market it and have a fierce sense of competition to grab this out of the convention centers of Hyderabad or the Mumbais and Delhis to start with.
Now, Sandeep's run home the point of marketing, right? He's pushed that agenda. I think I hope the people make this happen are hearing him and supporting to make this happen in the years to come.
Yeah.
Okay, Bhavna, let's ask. What do you feel about where is East sort of dragging itself or lagging behind? What's the typical segments that you feel are frequent sources of markets for us to the East, and where do you think we can do more?
So, well, I did my homework on all the states which have been kind of given to us to speak about today, right from Jharkhand to Bihar, Odisha, Sikkim, and West Bengal. While I was looking at all these states, I realized that our source market, so to say, would be Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Gujarat, and Mumbai. When we look at segmentation, so to say, it's largely business segment, supported by a bit of spiritual and pilgrimage and leisure, if you were to really combine that under one segment. When we look at where we lag behind, I think both you, Gaurav, and Dilip touched upon it. One is definitely international hotels, where there should be a familiarity. I looked at Gaya, I looked at Gangasagar, Parasnath, Puri, Dhanbad, Jamshedpur, and I couldn't really find more than 3 or 4 familiar hotel names like a Lemon Tree or a Sarovar or a Ramada, and it ends there. So that definitely needs a bit of work. The second big point would be marketing. Millennials and the families need to know what all we have to offer as a country, especially in the eastern part of India. I don't think any state is really using and leveraging the social media power. We have all ads popping up on our screens from various brands, not just hospitality, but otherwise also. But I don't really find anything popping up on the screen from a tourism perspective. So how are we leveraging social media to kind of tell the millennials and today's families who have disposable income with them to spend on traveling and sightseeing, that what we have to offer? I was myself mesmerized when I was looking at all these states put together in terms of each and every state, which are the places to see, what all can you do as a family or as a single traveler also. So that's a bit of work which we need to definitely do. And the third point, and the biggest one, which I feel as a mother and as a woman, we need to kind of maintain our sightseeing places, whether they are pilgrimage centers or they are waterfalls or any other sanctuary. I hardly ever find a well-maintained and a clean, sanitized toilet, 1, 2, a place to eat. So that's something which we all probably as a country can do better at. I remember my visit to Indonesia once, and the safety measures, the cleanliness, although they charged a very minuscule amount for it, but the toilets can be easily compared to a 5-star hotel in India. So that's what we probably need to work upon. The other thing would be cleanliness of these tourist destination itself. We have too many people around in terms of guides, in terms of hawkers, and there seems to be a loss of focus on Clean India movement, so that we probably need to bring back again. So these are the things which we probably need to do for Eastern India to bring in more people to visit us. And quite a few points out of these are actually common across India, and I really wish that the government really takes note of it and start working over it, and we all as an industry can be probably partner to it. And as part of CSR activity as well of multinational companies, there should be a bit of onus to kind of maintain the tourist destinations and provide good facilities from there.
And if I may, why should Bangladesh not be a source market for West Bengal?
It is a source.
It is. It actually is a big source market.
Because there is such a lot of emotion over there. They want to come here.
No, they
And
they
the
have been
movement
coming.
is
Unfortunately, because of Omicron being there, they've kind of reduced now. But otherwise, it is a big source market for us.
Thank you, Bhavna. I guess you gave me a good segue to what you believe the government should be doing, and I'm going to take that into Pramode and see Pramode, what's your views on what the government should be doing realistically for regulatory steps in the next budget allocations to promote, revive travel tourism or F&B in the state.
So Gaurav, I would like to look at this question slightly differently. See, let's understand this very clearly. I think the governments today across the board recognize tourism as a very, very important sector. I think that's a given by now, right? Because it's a big revenue generator, employment generator, one of the biggest foreign exchange earner. So it has this recognition. And secondly, I think the government is also flooded with recommendations, suggestions, incentive requirements from all the stakeholders, be it airlines, be it hotels, be it tour operators. The government is in through various forums like the CII, the FICCI, the TAI, and HAI, and all that, saying do this, do this, do this. So I think government is also quite flooded and overloaded with suggestions, and then these are now very much available on the public domain. So I'm not trying to list them down here because a lot of them will be very specific to regions, specific to cities, specific to segments, right? So, and it will be very difficult to cover all of that right now. What I think is required today is how are we going to get the maximum proposal that we put forward get implemented, right? That should be our thought process. And I think one thing I feel is like setting targets. Just to give you an example, if you see West Bengal, in the last Minister of Tourism Government of India survey, it was ranked 6th in domestic tourist travel into Bengal. Okay, it was ranked 6th in the country. So tomorrow, if West Bengal government and the stakeholders decide that in the X number of years, I want to be number 3. Okay, so if I want to be number 3, I'm at 6. What I need to do, that's the target setting is happening, right? And when I do the target setting and chalk out my path, each segment will then have its own strategy and own requirements to go to the ultimate goal of becoming number 3. And that is where I think very specific to the requirement, we should be pitching in with our needs, our incentives, and a lot of those concessions that we want, very specific to the requirement. And there, I think the stakeholder also is the government, because they have part of the entire activity to get to number 3. So I think there your recognition or acceptance to your proposals will be faster. This is one thought I have. I'm sure there will be many more. I'm sure a lot of you will be having some ideas on that front. But I think today, more importantly than putting down what we want is, I think, how we are going to get the government to accept and implement is the bigger question.
Now, Pramode, so well said. And, I know you do active work with, various industry bodies, whether it's CII, FICCI, and all of this in the East. You've always been actively involved in the associations pushing this agenda. So I guess that's what we can do from the hospitality perspective and continue to drive and ask for what we believe is required to support us in the direction. So kudos to you for that. At the same time, let me move to Dilip and ask about what is close to our hearts, right? Food and beverage is always close to our hearts, and Kolkata and the East, and particularly Kolkata, is where Oriental cuisine, so to speak, originated from, right? It just came out of Tangra and became the Indian Chinese that is so popular across. And then, of course, when you hear Kolkata or you hear Bengal, you can't leave the mishti, as Sandeep put it right in the beginning, saying we start with the dessert, and you can't leave that out. So, what's your view on local cuisine in this part of the world? What do our guests look out for? What do you believe is doing well? What can be still marketed better, maybe?
Right. So when I came to Calcutta, it was in 2013 when we started Lalit. We were working on the menus, and I did a little bit of work. Like every other Indian, if you talk about Bengali food, I was also having a similar thought of, machar jol and mutton, kosha, mangsho, and singaras, but we did a little bit of work, and then we divided the Bengali cuisine into 5 pillars, you can say. So while one pillar is very close to Mr. Khanna, he has talked about Tangra Chinese. There are other 3, which is from the Murshidabad, the Mughlai food entered. So you have the biryanis, the chaps, typical Bengali biryani with potato, which is much more popular than the mutton or the meat, which is there in the biryani. People fight for the potato rather than the meat. And then you have the Anglo-Indian, wherein the stew comes in, the egg devil comes in, and then you have the East Bengal and the West Bengal. Apart from these 4, one of the most popular where the street food came in, and which in Bengali is called Jol Khaba. That is when you want to have snacks or nashta, you have an array of chalmuris and samosas and singaras. So when we worked on these things, you go to Orissa, it's extensively both vegetarian and seafood eaters. Jharkhand has a fantastic tribal food which is unexplored yet. And when you go to Bihar, it has, the only 2 things we all talk about is litti chokha and thekua. There's no other thing probably, but there are tash meat, there is champaran meat. There's a lot to explore there as well. So when we talk about the Eastern cuisine, we have to talk more about the things which are unexplored, like any other thing. So there's a lot of work to be done. The second is food processing. Eastern side is actually bestowed with fresh vegetables and meat. But there is no work or very less work done in terms of food processing. So there's extensive work done on chana sweets in Bengal and Orissa, but still rasgullas are being made by Haldiram. So, but the same sweet thing, if you talk about Jharkhand and Bihar, the chana is replaced by flour. So you get thekuas, you get puas, which can easily be processed. So you sitting in Delhi, you can have a Hyderabad Karachi biscuit, but for thekua you have to wait for Chhat, and that you have to go to a Bihari friend and say, "Boss, mere liye kuch rakhna." So that is something which I think there's a lot to be explored in terms of food process, both raw as well as produced. And in terms of local, yes, there are guests who come to our hotel, and in front of our hotel is the Khai Street or the Daker's Lane, famous for its street food. There's a shop called Chittoda's stew shop. So my first of the guests who entered didn't have a meal with us first and said, "Pehle Chittoda se milenge, baad mein we'll see." We had to incorporate all that, but that is charm of Eastern India. That there are a few places which are famous, and yes, as hotel we have incorporated those things because we see a lot of demand. But processing is something which I strongly feel that this needs to be done, because the fresh meat, vegetables which is produced here can actually work wonders for us.
Thank you, Dilip. That's a very interesting perspective. Very knowledgeable inputs on cuisine on the East, and thank you for sharing that with the audience and us.
Thank you.
Okay, Sumeet, if I may, your hotel is known for its weddings. It's known, the East is known for grand, big, fat weddings, and I guess there is a whole. I don't know if it's the right thing to say, but there is a whole Marwadi wedding community which exists in the east of India, and I guess that's a big segment that all hoteliers chase, right? How do you see this playing out? What's happening well there? What are the colors that are playing out for you in the wedding segment in the East?
No, so it's very interesting, Gaurav, and I totally believe, when I came to this hotel, and I think the hotel has been blessed with one of the largest banquet halls in the part of the East. And I think if you go back historically with Kolkata and also around East, we realized that when hotels were being built, again, the Oberois and the Taj, and then of course, almost 25 years back, there were hardly any conventions. And then came in the ITCs and the Hyatts, which were the first kind of hotels which kind of started with some convention space, banquets and the gardens. Of the last 5 to 7 years, we've seen tremendous growth happening as far as the banquet space is concerned. We all know Marwaris out here. They live to either eat or of course spend the rest of the a lot of money in weddings. Whether we were in COVID or no COVID, this was one business which was recession proof. And I must thank them and the entire community of whoever was getting married during the COVID time. India was saved, because I've hardly seen any place or any weddings. In fact, while the numbers reduced from 1,000 to 300, the decor actually was kept the same. The food variety, in fact, increased. The personalization went to another level. And what we've seen is over the last few months is our rates have actually almost gone up by 40 to 50% higher. I worked in Mumbai, Delhi, and other parts, and I know that the market is big there. But for sure reasons, the fact that the infrastructure is not the kind what it is in comparison to West, we're missing the mark. But the way we are growing, I see a lot of conventions opening up in Kolkata in the last 2 or 3 years. What we've seen is that with the right space and the right infrastructure, a lot of people prefer to do weddings in the East. Going beyond Calcutta, what we've seen in Siliguri or in other places, there are destinations being formed there where people are flying from different parts of the country and doing weddings. So coming to the point that I think the right hotel or the right infrastructure is required to do weddings. If you have the right product and you get the right results. People want to spend the money in the right brands. They want the variety. And I think what hotels and other places can do is get in, their food and of course the food from the international places also to that hub. Also, I think we've moved from a concept of per plate to a wedding per event today. It's no more a question of how much you're paying per person, but it's how much you're spending for the destinations. And people are ready to do that, because of the fact that they're far and few places. So I think things is here to grow in East, in Calcutta, in and around Bengal, and wherever the infrastructure is going to go. And I think whichever places people are going to build right infrastructures, right hotels, weddings will grow. People will reach that places. Their destination weddings, small events of 300, 350 people is what people want to go for. They want to do buyouts, right? And they want to keep that entire space to themselves, and they pay the premium for that. So I think that's where East is unexplored, and the places around East are very, very beautiful. I think a lot of nature with open gardens and the infrastructure can do the right trick.
Excellent.
So it's so interesting to hear you when you say small and call it 300, 350. In most parts of the world, that would be like humongous for a wedding. But yes, in India, that would be a small wedding. So I much appreciate your comments on that. Let me, we are a little over time, and I'm going to try and go into the final question and put Debarshi on the spot here, to close us out. We've spoken about the industry, we've spoken about various parts of the industry, and I just want to understand, when you come across the East, looking at it from a domestic and international market both, is there a mechanism to integrate both these markets, the hospitality industry, the state tourism, all our stakeholders? Can we bring them all on board? Is there something that can be done or is being done, or is something that you can propose or talk about that you feel will help us drive this forward?
I think what Mr. Johri and Bhawna said just some time back, it's all about the marketing, which this particular area is lacking at this point of time. We could reach out, as Bhawna said, social media, we are not being seen anywhere. So that may be one of the scope that the world is going after. So maybe that's one of the scope we can look into. Apart from that, I think if we could, all the units could reach out to the DMCs of the bigger names of DMCs who are promoting this area. I mean, they are particularly until unless you develop a destination, that destination cannot be sold. So I think it's something about to develop that particular destinations. We could reach out to the DMCs, and then in turn, maybe the central and state government in collaboration can reach out to these international travel conferences that generally happens, wherein we can put these locations into a world map, and then we can bring in some inbound tourism as and when it happens. May not be happening at this point of time, but as and when it happens, we can bring some of the people out here. As far as the domestic market is concerned, I think it is already there, but more focused into Gangtok, I mean, towards Sikkim and Darjeeling and Puri, so to say. But we should reach out to all these DMCs to promote this destination. That's what I think. Plus, everybody has said about the connectivity. I have one small complaint that we have very beautiful airport in Gangtok, which is yet to be commissioned actually. I mean, it started somehow, but somehow is not working. If we have that kind of a connectivity from Kolkata to Gangtok and that could actually help to increase the MICE business, if not anything else. Obviously leisure, but if not leisure, then at least it would give a boost to the MICE business as well. That's what I feel. Yes, marketing at this moment is the key that I think we all need to contribute into it.
No, thank you, Debarshi. That's a good point. I think, the fact that Bhuvanesh has put us on the spot here, all of us today, this evening, and then with Business World, and all in all, the fact that we're talking only about the East is in a way marketing it, right?
Yep.
And I guess we need to continue to do more of that to help the cause of not just hospitality but tourism on the whole. And I guess I do appreciate your views. So I'm going to pass it back to Bhuvanesh to sort of wrap this up for us, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I would want you to wrap it up because you're the man who knows the East better than anybody else. But let me tell you, it's been a wonderful show. And in some manner, the objective has been met about discussing the East in a very blinkered manner. We're not talking about any other. We're not talking about a sixth state or bringing in the Northeast into this. So we will do a lot more. There's been a lot of idea sharing. There's been a lot of detail over here. And of course, the very fact that Gaurav has given us time to bring in a larger East perspective is so far so good. I think from a moderation standpoint, it's been a 10 on 10 performance by Gaurav. Extremely well done. And hand on heart, I knew if Gaurav was going to drive this, we were home, bringing in the perspective and a complete feel, right? I didn't know that he was a Calcutta boy. He was born there and brought up there. I knew he was a Mayo boy. So we did have a chat about Mayo, but that be that. It's a great show. We'll have you all back soon. We're heading into Christmas and then the New Year. Let me wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. Have good family time. Have a good breakaway if you have one. You're hoteliers. Your job is in many manners worse than a doctor or a gynecologist who's called for a delivery at 2 a.m. and she has to smile and go, Bhavna, you're smiling. Thank you for being there. Gaurav, thank you so much. Right.
Thank you so much, and best wishes for this festive season to you and to everyone on the call as well. Wish you and all your loved ones a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.